Okay, guys, so we are going to read chapters 3 and chapter 4 today. Chapter 3 is called Open Sesame. The fourth M thing must be out there, said Annie. Beside the door was a button with the word open on it. Annie reached out for the button. Wait! Jack grabbed her hand. There's no air on the moon, remember? Oh, right. But we have to go out to find the M thing. Let's see what the book says Jack. He pulled the book out of his backpack. He flipped through it until he found a page that showed the surface of the moon. He read aloud. It takes 14 Earth days to equal 1 day on the moon. No air protects the moon from the sun's rays. So daytime heat reaches 260 degrees. Jack looked at Annie. I told you our blood would boil if we went out there, he said. 260 degrees? That's super, super hot. So would it be really hot if they went out? Cold. Hot, right? Yuck, she said. Jack read from the book again. Moon scientists wear spacesuits, which have controls to keep them from getting too hot or too cold. They have tanks which provide air for 2 hours. So they have buttons that can control if to make them hotter or colder, and they also have oxygen tanks to help them breathe. Where do we get spacesuits? Asked Annie. She looked around, then trotted back down the hall. Maybe there. Jack was studying his map. Let's try the spacesuit storeroom. Don't look at the map, said Annie. Look at the real room. Jack glanced up. Annie was peering through a doorway off the hall. There's a ton of space stuff in here, she said. Jack went to look. Bulky white suits hung from hangers. Air tanks, helmets, gloves, and boots sat in the neat rows on shelves. Wow, it's like the armor room in a castle, said Jack, where all of the astronauts' spacesuits were reminded them of the armor room inside of a castle. Yeah, with huge armor, said Annie. Let's pick out the smallest stuff, said Jack. The suits can go over our clothes. Annie found the smallest white suit, and Jack found the next smallest. They stepped into them. Then Annie locked Jack's air tank into place. Thanks, he said, and he did the same for her. Thanks, she said. Gloves? Said Jack. He and Annie pulled on white gloves. Boots? Said Annie. They each pulled on a pair of huge white boots. Helmets? Said Jack. He reached for a helmet. Wow, they're pretty light, he said. I thought they'd be like the knights' helmets. Remember the knights' helmets were so heavy they could barely hold it up? The helmets for the astronauts weren't heavy at all. Jack and Annie put the helmets on. They looked at each other. They locked each other's into place. I can't move my head right or left, said Annie. Me neither, said Jack. Let's try walking. Jack and Annie moved clumsily around the room. Jack felt like a fat snowman. That's funny. He felt like a fat snowman because they were all white and they had so much stuff on. Close your visors, said Annie. They both closed their see-through visors. Cool air filled Jack's helmet. I can breathe, Annie yelled. Her voice boomed in Jack's ears. Ow! Talk quietly, Jack said. We have two-way radios inside our helmets. Sorry, whispered Annie. Jack put the moon book back in his backpack. Then he slung the backpack over his shoulder. Okay, he said. Remember, we only have 2 hours of air in our tanks. So, we need to find the fourth M thing really fast. I hope we can find it, said Annie. Me too, said Jack. He knew they could not go home until they did. Let's go, said Annie. She gave Jack a little push. Watch it. No goofing off, he said. We don't want to fall over in these suits. Just go. Go, said Annie. She pushed him out of the room. They walked back to the airlock. Ready? Said Annie. Open sesame! She pressed the open button. A door slowly slid closed behind them. A door opened, in front of them, and Jack and Annie stepped out on to the moon. Chapter 4. Moon Rabbits. "Oh, wow," said Annie. She took a step forward, but Jack stood frozen. He wanted to get a good look at everything first. He stared at the ground. He was standing in a layer of gray dust as fine as powder. Footprints were everywhere. Jack wondered who made them. He reached into his backpack for the moon book. To his surprise, it was as light as a feather. He found a picture of footprints on the moon. He read, "The moon has no rain or wind to blow the dust around, so footprints will never wear away naturally, not even in a billion years." "Oh man," Jack said. The moon was the stillest place he had ever been. It was as still as a picture, and its stillness would never ever end. Jack stared at the ink black sky. A lovely blue and white ball glowed far away. Earth! For the first time, it really hit Jack. They were in outer space. "Look!" Annie cried, laughing. She bounded past Jack, almost flying through the air. She landed on her feet. Then she jumped again. "I'm a moon rabbit," she called. Jack laughed. How does she do that? He wondered. He turned a page and read, "A person weighs less on the moon because of the moon's low gravity and lack of air. If you weigh 60 pounds on Earth, you would only weigh 10 pounds on the moon." "Don't just stand there reading," said Annie. Annie, grabbing the book from Jack's gloved hand. She tossed it into space. It flew far away. Jack started after it. He bounced up and down, boing, boing, boing. Now he felt light as a feather. "Look," he called to Annie. "I'm a moon rabbit too." Where Jack's boots hit the ground, moon dust gracefully sprayed into space. The book had landed at the edge of a shallow crater. When Jack reached it, he tried to stop, but his feet slipped. He fell right over and lay on his side. He tried to stand, but he was off balance. He tried again, but the dust was just too deep, and his spacesuit was too clumsy. "You okay?" asked Annie. "I can't get up," said Jack. "You shouldn't have been goofing off," said Annie wisely. "You goofed off first," said Jack. "Now help me up, please." Annie started toward him. "Don't fall too," warned Jack. "I won't." Annie moved very slowly. She half floated, half walked. "Give me your hand," she said. Annie grabbed Jack's hand. She pressed her boot against his and pulled him up. "Thanks," he said. "No problem," she said. "It was easy. You were really light." "Thank goodness," said Jack. "It's impossible to get up alone." He picked up the moon book. It was covered with dust. He brushed it off. "Oh, wow! Look," said Annie. She stood at the edge of the crater. "What is it?" said Jack. "A moon buggy," said Annie. The buggy was parked in the crater. It had 4 huge wheels. "Let's go for a ride," said Annie. "We can't," said Jack. "We just have 2 hours of air in our tanks, remember?" "I bet we'll find the M thing faster if we take the moon buggy." Annie bounded into the crater. "But we can't drive," said Jack. "I bet I could drive this," said Annie. "It looks easy." "Come on." She jumped into the driver's seat. "But you don't have a license," said Jack. "Who cares?" said Annie. "There aren't any roads on the moon, or stoplights, or policemen either." She was right. Jack thought. "Well, go slow," he said, and he climbed in beside her. Annie pushed a button labeled "On." The moon buggy lurched backward. "Yikes!" said Annie. "Step on the brake," said Jack. Annie pressed a pedal on the floor. The buggy stopped with a jerk. "Whew!" she said. "It must be in reverse," said Jack. "Let me study this." But before he could study anything, Annie pushed another button. The buggy tilted back. Its front wheels started to rise into the air. "Let me out of here," said Jack. Annie pushed more buttons. The buggy's front wheels landed back on the ground, and the buggy leaped forward. Slower, said Jack. I can't, said Annie. I don't know how. Annie steered the buggy over the tracks on the ground. The wide wheels kept it from sinking into the deep dust. Careful, said Jack. The buggy zoomed out of the crater. Gray clouds of dust rose behind them as they took off across the moon. That is the end of chapter 5. So, you are going to write, do you think that they are going to find the fourth thing while they are inside of the moon buggy? Actually, we're going to write, what do you think they will find that is the fourth thing? And I think the moon buggy might be the fourth thing. Moon buggy. It starts with the letter M. So I'm going to write, I think the fourth M thing is the moon buggy. I think T-H, think the, we should know that, T-H-E, fourth, F, fourth thing, T-H. I think the fourth thing will be the moon buggy. I think the fourth thing will, W, I, O, and will be, be. The, you should know that, T-H-E, moon, buggy, buggy. I think the fourth thing will be the moon buggy. What do you think the fourth thing will be that they have to find? Make your prediction.